What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Work Knife Balance. I am absolutely thrilled to be diving into this knife today. I was really excited to get this one on the pass around, but before we get too far into that and go into the knife, I want to go ahead and say thank you to anybody who's already liked and subscribed to our channel. If you haven't, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. You can also find us on YouTube at Work Knife Balance 939 and send us a knife if you want to. Communicate with us there. When we're done with it, we'll send you a sweet sticker on the way back, and just thank you for letting us check out your knife. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this right here. This is a knife I got in the pass around group, and this is another Tuya knife. This is going to be the Tuya Wrath, and so this is, oh man, this is absolutely amazing. So I opened this up on my very first ever live that we did for our YouTube channel the other Tuesday night, about a week ago now, and then I've had a chance to kind of mess with it and hang out with it and see what it feels like and how it, after my first initial impressions, what I really thought, and nothing got bad. It just continued to get better, and I really liked this knife. So Tuya makes some amazing things, and this was no exception to that. The design on this knife is absolutely fantastic too. The front flipper is super easy to work with, and it's super easy for even those who aren't good with front flippers. It's not quite a like Pena level front flipper, but it is 100% still user-friendly, easy to adjust to, and definitely easy to operate. Yeah, we'll go ahead and start with the normal, just kind of like measurements, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of the details of the knife. So right now we are looking at the Tuya Wrath, and tip to tail, we're looking at about 7.75 inches. The blade length, we're looking just under 3.5, we'll say 3.4, with a cutting edge of about 3.15. So it's definitely a full-size knife there. It's going to be legal in most areas, not everyone, since we're jumping over that 3 inches on the blade there, but it is super easy, not very aggressive looking, not very kind of daunting, but definitely worth the value. So this comes in at about $250 on Tuya's website. I believe that is the only place you can get it, but I could be wrong on that. I will go ahead and try and post a link down to Tuya's website with the Wrath there, so you can go ahead and see it. There are 6 different variations. There's 2 with this milled frag pattern. So there's a frag pattern with just this raw titanium color to it. There's also a frag pattern with what looks like a bronze color, and then it has a black blade. And then there's a Sagaha, which is with the raw titanium and satin, and then same Sagaha with the bronze and black. And then there what looks like to be a diamond kind of texturing mill to it, with the same kind of raw titanium and satin, and then bronze and black to it. So a couple things to note on this that you can see is there is a little extra detail put into some of the pieces of this knife. If you can see on the collar there, I don't know what it is, if it's a Timascus or if it's a Zerk or what it is, but there's a little bit of color around that pivot there with that pivot collar. It just adds a little bit more flair to it, and that is on all of the knives as well, so all versions of the knife. And then you've got the Tuya logo in the pivot right there, so that's pretty cool as well. And then if you look, they even had like attention to detail on the thumb studs, so you've got milling around the thumb stud. If we open it up and then look back in here, we can hopefully get in, you can see the actual kind of texturing on the frame itself, the inside of the frame lock, so you can actually get in there and have a much better access. Not only did they chamfer it out so you get easy access, but then they gave you gimping on the inside to make it super worth it. The action, as you can see, is absolutely beautiful. It just snaps right out of there, and it's super easy to work with. You can use all the thumb studs as well if you wanted to. You can reverse swivel on it, you can use the front flip, you can use the thumb stud, you can actually over the top front flick it and pull it out right there. The compound grind that you have on this is one thing. This blade is beautiful. I really love the way that they made this blade. That compound grind is something to definitely write home about. The thick swedge that they put at the top too just adds to the aesthetics, and you can see the light just going from one edge to the other on the different angles. Definitely something that I think is pretty sweet. The only thing that I would say on this is the gimping that they did is pretty sweet, but kind of aggressive. And I'm not one to necessarily 100% hate aggressive jimping, but this is sharp. So when you do, if you do want to come over the top and do a front flip like that with your pointer finger, it does kind of start to rip up that knuckle because it is so sharp on itself. Don't mess with it too much with this way, and that's probably just because I got a little bit thicker thumb pads. And so because of that, I don't feel it as much, but it is definitely sharp jimping on the top there. It only really bothers me when I do that opening that you just saw right there with that front pointer finger just sticking out like that. Other than that, you don't feel it on the back, you don't feel it on the thumb, nothing really messing with it. So it's not a huge thing and definitely nothing to really complain about, but I thought I'd mention it. So it does have an ambidextrous pocket clip, so it does have a milled titanium pocket clip right there, which you can see, and you can flip it over and put it up here. It does have a little kind of thin lanyard hole, so if you've got some small paracord, you should be able to sneak it through that back spacer that comes up the back, and then have it out there. If you want to put a lanyard on it, you can do that as well. Other than that, we'll do some side-by-side comparisons real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So first we'll pull out the Ontario Rat 1 and the Ontario Rat 2. You can definitely see that it is going to be smaller than the Rat 1 and larger than the Rat 2. Full-size knife, not quite compact, definitely not like the big boy status as well, but a good everyday carry knife, something that almost unanimously people are going to enjoy the size and enjoy the ergos and the feel of it and everything. Go ahead and pull out the Para 2 and the Para 3 as well, so you can see. Same for kind of comparison knives that we do every single video, just because they're easy knives to get and most of you have them in your collection already. So once again, I think the closest comparison is probably going to be that Rat 1. It's just a little smaller than that Rat 1. But it shows you a good comparison to all four of those knives, so you can see where it kind of lands in the size category. Yeah. Other than that, there's not much else to talk about. Fantastic ergos, like I said. Really good gripping on this knife because that frag pattern. The only pattern that I would be concerned about personally is the Sagaha pattern. Sometimes the Sagaha pattern can be a little smooth and doesn't give you the best grip, but if the milling is anything like the milling on this right here, you've got nothing to worry about because it is absolutely amazing. You can see how deep that milling gets in there, and because of that, oops, let's see if we can, there we go. You can see how deep that milling gets into those scales right there and gives you really good grip. I would imagine in wet climates with a gloved hand, you would still have no problem holding on to this, although it wouldn't necessarily be the knife that I use in those conditions. But still, M390, or sorry, S90V blade steel, if I didn't mention that already. So S90V blade steel, which is a really good premium blade steel. Nothing wrong with that at all. And then $250 price point. Yeah, definitely worth the money. It's going to go on my list of knives that I want and probably won't get for some time because the list is so stinking long, but still, it's going to go on that list of knives that I think are 100% worth the value and should be purchased at some point, or at least added to the collection to say this is something that I want because it's worth it. So yeah, not much left. So until next time, TTFN.